Talk. So, it works. Did you want to record a short segment?
Sure. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, the inauguration is rushing towards us. The snowflakes are possibly threatening disruptions and demonstrations, but I don't think it's going to have any serious impact. Unless they kidnap John Roberts just before he holds up the Bible, I don't see what they're going to do at this point.
I'm not terribly worried. I think it'll be entertaining.
I think it will. One of the interesting things about this incoming administration is nearly everybody I talk to, whether they be moderate or conservative, or even moderates that think they're conservative, all are generally in favor of the picks that Trump's made. They think that it threatens to be a very conservative administration that in theory could be more conservative than Reagan, but we have to see, of course, how these folks work when their feet hit the ground, how badly the permanent administrative class pushes back against them, and so on. Even Richard Viguerie at Conservative HQ has said that the picks are tremendous. There's just a couple of little flies in the ointment. One of them is that Mnuchin is beginning to look like a compromised candidate, that he had to pay off Kamala Harris in order to avoid being prosecuted for aggressive loan foreclosures by his bank.
Well, we'll have to see. I think overall it's a pretty good cabinet.
I think it's a very good cabinet.
Far better than anybody would have guessed.
If Rick Perry can just remember when he gets to energy that he wants to close it.
Well, that's just it. I mean, we've got these people who are going to be put in charge of these large bureaucracies, and their job is to presumably make them efficient and streamline them and take the brakes off where there have been brakes applied that are unnecessary and do the right thing and maybe make the economy grow. But then again, once you put people in positions of power and they start getting a lot of pushback and they get resistance, and some of them are like, well, okay, and well, okay, this, and well, okay, that. And then the next thing
I don't think this bunch are going to bow down to the permanent bureaucracy, or at least not likely. I think they're going to push back hard.
I'm hopeful, but, as a blogger, you're like, well...
Yeah, I know. Show me all the way to Missouri and back.
That's right, because it's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff down there. So you really have to hope that I mean, they seem like principled folks. It looks like we're on the right track. I'm really hoping that they just barrel through these nominations and screw these Democrats and just get it done, because that's what they did and they deserve it. And get to work.
Yeah, and I think Trump's tweets are going to be very helpful under these circumstances. As you saw last week when the Republicans tried to undo the independent ethics board. I mean, as Trump said, bad as it may be, in other words, it's not a perfect organ, and it tends to, I think, be biased in its outlook. Choosing that as your first order of business when we got this much stuff to do, he quite rightly pointed out to them that they were way off base going after that.
It's a neat feature, the Twitter thing, because he goes around the media, he goes around the establishment, and it's been very effective. And I like that because, like you said, they started to go along to get along, and he's like, whoa, what are you doing? And he didn't really just say, don't do that. All he said was, gosh, gee, that's not really where I'd start. And all of a sudden they were like, uh-oh.
Yeah, you do not want to be on the wrong end of a twit storm from the Donald.
Well, it sounds like he's going to use that as an effective tool. And I know the media hates it because he's going to reach millions of people who are going to talk about the tweets, even if they don't specifically read them themselves. And it just totally undermines their ability to control the message, which is beautiful.
Yes, that's the number one advantage. Can you imagine if Ronald Reagan had his own private radio channel, for example, in the days before Twitter? I mean, he was pretty effective at getting the message out there as it was. Could you imagine if he'd had direct access to the people?
Well, he did. He managed to get a lot done with a Democratic Congress, so I would say, yeah, I think it would be amazing. And who knows what would have been different as a result.
Yeah, yeah. Where I see the risk is where you see the usual leadership suspects soft pedaling, saying, "Well, we can't just repeal Obamacare. Why not?" As Rand Paul said, "Let's try freedom instead."
The free market. Let's give it a shot. That's what
Yeah,
you
just
replace it with.
yeah. I mean, all the plans that were in place before this kicked in got shut down at the end of what was it, 2012 for the 2013 plan year. And people had to go to the exchanges, or their employers had to renegotiate inferior plans for higher prices. It didn't phase in gently; it just hit, and then it's been incrementally worse. There's no reason why you can't say the same thing in reverse. You're welcome to keep the plans you've got unless you can find a cheaper one sooner. But in insurance companies, you're on your own. Offer something the customer likes, or go broke.
Well, I would think that if you just unshackled them and said, "Look, you guys offer buffet plans, boutique plans, Cadillac plans, whatever plans you want, you price them to compete with everybody else who can do the exact same thing, and let's have at it." Let the school districts go
Yeah,
back
and
out
unless
and renegotiate their insurance premiums with their contracts. The public employee unions are getting screwed. The taxpayers are getting screwed as a result of that. We're also getting screwed because our own insurance rates are going up. So, if immediately somebody comes out and says, "I can give you a plan that has this and this and this and this, and it costs 10% of what you're paying now, and that's all you need," go buy it.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's not forget the stories that came in over the transom when Obamacare kicked in were all these people that had their private health plans, their individual or family health plans, their small company health plans. Those were all the first to go. And they were paying maybe $300 a month, and all of a sudden it's $800 or $1,000 with a huge deductible, and they basically were getting no coverage for a much higher price, and they were rightfully upset. And it should be easy to reverse that. The other thing that then has to be done, basically the people that bought through the exchanges should just be told, no, go shop like you normally would. You'll find it's cheaper, which leaves the ones that got put on Medicaid as opposed to nothing. And you basically say, okay, well, we're going to leave you on Medicaid for a little bit, but states, we're going to block grant this to you, and it's going to shrink. You figure it out, but we're recommending that you just offer premium support and let the customers shop.
Yeah, that'd be the best way to go. And of course, work requirements for Medicaid expansion in New Hampshire would help if they're not going to go with all-out repeal. Those sorts of things will definitely help get people back into the workforce when they're able. And those are the people that should be working. And a lot of the price pressure will come off businesses who can then again begin to negotiate better pricing and better plans for their employees with rates that are reasonable instead of some of these rates that suck up any wage increase or suck up half their paycheck just to pay for a premium for a month of insurance.
Yeah, I mean, mine doesn't suck up half my paycheck, but it's much bigger than it was a few years ago, and the deductibles make it much more expensive, especially at the beginning of the year. So it's no fun. So the other things we're talking about, the incoming administration, certainly Trump's intending to hit the ground running. The nice thing is it's very clear that Trump doesn't take time off when he's in the middle of something like this. He may have hung out at Mar-a-Lago instead of Trump Tower, but unless Steve Doocy was just down there on vacation getting a tan, my impression is that there was news coming out of the place all day long.
Because, there's so much to do. And
yeah, it always amuses me when I see these reporters on location, on exotic location, covering the president, who most of the time won't give him the time of day anyway, especially not Obama. And there's Kevin Corke out there, who's, instead of shivering on the North Lawn, was out in Hawaii. He was showing signs of Hawaii beginning to get to him by the end of his time out there covering Obama's vacation.
Sunburn is sunburn. Everybody gets it. So, yeah, I can see if he's out there doing a little bit less reporting and doing a little bit more standing around in the sun, that, if he doesn't put some sunscreen on, he's going to get roasted.
Yeah, he was just looking at tad pink under the dark shade there. I was thinking, you getting burned out there, guy, aren't you? Yeah, well, I'm trying to cover Obama. I mean, well, please.
Anyway, wait for His Majesty to come out on the balcony and wave,
Yeah. So the worrying development on Friday, as reported by Conservative HQ, was a guy called DeStefano, who has been allocated, sorry, been picked as basically the head of White House personnel. It's his job to pick the people to fill all the little posts. Why is this a problem?
Yeah, why?
Because if they're not careful, Trump was going to get schlonged by a clone of the Boner. This guy was very close to John Boehner's inner circle, and he's not got a background in personnel or human resources, but he knows everybody who's anybody on the Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the history of what happened to Reagan with H.W. Bush and James Baker and some of the other people that came in that the party planted there, this has that same kind of hallmark. Viguerie has the saying, personnel is policy. If you allow the establishment to put in the undersecretaries, assistant secretaries, and what have you, and they hit the ground running faster than the secretaries do, you basically got them undermined before they start work.
That is true.
And they're going to have enough trouble pushing back on the permanent bureaucracy without having folks that are supposed to be on their side being part of the establishment.
It'll be interesting to see how that works, because I can imagine Trump getting himself personally involved where he sees things not happening the way he envisioned them.
I think so too. At the same time as I was saying that putting out that cautionary tale, I can easily imagine a fairly frequent refrain of "You're fired."
Mm-hmm. Yep, and he can do it.
There was another piece I saw along those lines. Obama's tried to stack the deck with a couple of panels by appointing people to 6-year terms. I forget which panel it was, but I read of one earlier this morning where he'd appointed people just as he's going out the door. And, well, you can't unappoint them unless they do something impeachable, but you could always shut down the panel altogether if there's no good use for it.
I was curious, have you heard anything about what's going to happen with the czars? I assume they're just all going to have to be gone, but I haven't read anything about getting rid of them all. And there's, 32, 36 of them or something like that?
Yeah, my impression is they have to go. There are going to be some departments where I think you want the White House representative.
It's an interesting. I mean, they were never there before. There's really no reason to have them. I mean, Obama used them instead of they were a shadow cabinet, really, instead of using his real cabinet, which he hardly ever met with. Trump seems like he wants to have a cabinet full of leaders, which means he has no reason to have czars for any reason.
Obama's tried to stack a couple of boards or panels that just creations of government. They're not an emanation from a penumbra of the Constitution. There's no real reason for them to exist. And I don't see why we shouldn't just eliminate some of them. As I say, it will be fun to see if any of government can be eliminated, and if he's got the fortitude to take the storm of stuff hitting the ventilator that he's going to get. This could be Twitstorm versus you know what storm in the Capitol.
Okay, well, let's see here.
Anyway, sorry, I've been rambling for a good bit. What do you got?
Oh, no, that's good. That's what you're here for. Because you're bringing... I'm just... oh, God, the dog's still barking. You need something. I don't have anything. I'm trying to find something about czars, and the only article I can find is from The Nation, which means it's going to be totally spun, so I'll have to read that later. But anyway, what is it, Lassie? Problem over there? I think he wants to go out.
Well, Slate obviously wants to keep on dancing with the czars.
Oh, I'm sure they do. Can't imagine why they wouldn't. They love those extra constitutional bureaucracies.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to end this so I can take the dog out. And apparently, maybe Timmy's stuck in the well, and we have to go get him out. I don't know, but we will I will paste this together and create a little podcast and put it up later.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.
See ya. Bye.